So if you really want to be happy, you have to drop the stories. And the ego, the mind, hates hearing this because it feeds off of the stories. We imagine ourselves, the avatar imagines itself in a timeline, right? Like a story of my life. Like, this has happened to me and this is what's going to happen in the future. But all of our suffering is literally just running from what we are right now, which is the infinite, which is the everything, the eternal present moment. But it's like we feed off these stories, and we've all done it. I've done it when I was younger. We've all had friends that do it, where it's just the constant stories, and they're usually stories around victimhood or not being good enough or something's been done to me, and the separate self, the avatar, doesn't like to hear that because it threatens it. Like, how could you say that I create my stories and that they're not real? And that's exactly what's being said, is what you are can never be affected by anything in the story, by any idea about who you are, any belief, any reason that you are not enough and you are not everything. They are all created. So this dream that we have going on is literally just that. We create this dream, we create this reality through our avatar. We create it from that one reality, but we reflect exactly what we think and feel. So we create our reality, and usually, that's a dilution of us as source consciousness, as the one consciousness. But we create this like dream version of that feels real to us, and then we reflect that into the world. And that's what all of these, I guess, traditions and teachings are in some way, is they can never explain with words the truth to what they're pointing to. And that's the big joke of it all, is it's the exact same thing, not just with individuals but with groups and religions, traditions, anything, any sort of group that has some sort of belief or idea. It's saying that like, my pointers are better than your pointers, and that's why wars start. That's why wars happen, because it's like, well, my pointers are better than your pointers, and they think they don't realize that that's what it is about. That it literally is just, arguing about pointers, which are pointing to the same thing, but they say, oh well, my God is better than your God. And it's like, it's all just stories. What we all are is this one inexplainable reality, the infinite, but then expressing itself through all these reflections, through all these avatars. And so to really be happy, we just need to see we are that eternal present moment. We are that powerful to be that, and that's exactly what scares us. That's why we feed the stories. And that there never was a story to begin with, because all stories are just ideas and creations about the past and future, which only happen now. And it can feel like sometimes, imagine, the stories are coming from thought, and that it internal dialogue and narrative. And usually it's I'm not good enough, or you're doing this wrong, or what will they think? And imagine you had a friend who was constantly telling you, like, oh well, you didn't do the dishes, well, what are they gonna think? oh, you better watch out, this is going to happen to you, oh, stop. So, you'd tell them to fuck off. Kindly, you would. Because no one wants a friend like that. No one wants a toxic friend. And that's exactly what the mind and the thought processes are, is just like a toxic, really toxic friend. So you would tell them to get fucked. Anyone would. It's obvious. So then why would you let the mind drag you into a direction that isn't you? In other words, why would you reflect all of these things, create all these stories without actually knowing? It's not that it's a bad thing what the mind does and what we're capable of doing with the mind, which is creating all of these ideas and critical thinking, but it's that none of it is conscious, because we don't realize that we are the reality. We are the infinite that reflects that dream, that reflects that narrative, that reflects that story. So you can decide, you can choose what you want to create, for yourself. And then you get to this point where you see, oh, well, if I'm just creating these dreams, these stories, if I'm just reflecting what I want to see, and usually it's not what we want to see, then I don't have to. Then I can just be that timeless essence that you are, which is just always here, and that will come through. That will come through your avatar. And it's all a choice. There are lots of mosquitoes here. That's why I'm looking down quite a bit. It's all a choice of, do I want to be happy? Yes, I do. I know you do. And that just requires dropping the stories, dropping the spiritual ideas that you have to be certain kind of person, you have to be awake, dropping the dogmas, dropping all these beliefs, and seeing that you're enough, and you don't need anything else. You don't need to keep feeding the stories.